What really happens after we die? For centuries, the Hebrew Bible has pointed to this kind of mysterious, shadowy underworld. So in this explainer, we're going to dive in and figure out exactly what that place is.
Yeah, it's probably the most profound question humanity has, right? And ancient texts, well, they offer a ton of different answers. But today, we're going to focus on one specific destination that you find in the Hebrew Bible, a place called Sheol.
All right, so what exactly is Sheol? Let's break it down, starting with the basics. Okay, so Sheol, that's the original Hebrew word for the realm of the dead. Now, if you're reading Greek translations of the Bible, you'll see it called Hades. And sometimes you'll just hear it called the underworld. They're all kind of pointing to the same idea. It's the place where your soul is said to go right after you die.
Wow, a land of utter gloom, or even the light is like darkness? That's pretty bleak, right? But here's the really surprising part. Look at who said this. It was Job, a man described as righteous. He expected to go to this place, and he didn't see it as a reward at all. So right there, that's our first big clue that Sheol isn't just a simple heaven or hell.
So that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a good guy like Job expected to end up there, then who exactly is Sheol for? And the answer, well, it's probably not what you're thinking.
Believe it or not, everyone. Yep, according to the source material we're looking at, Sheol is the universal first stop. It doesn't matter if you were righteous or wicked. From prophets to sinners, every single soul was said to first journey to this same realm.
Okay, but wait a minute. If everyone's going to the same place, does that mean everyone has the same experience? Absolutely not. The famous parable of the rich man and Lazarus shows us that Sheol is actually divided. The righteous, they end up in a place of comfort, what's called Abraham's side. But the wicked, they face a place of torment.
And this quote right here from that same story is absolutely crucial. It talks about a great chasm that's been set in place. This isn't just a little ditch, it's an impassable divide. No one can cross over. And that strongly suggests that whatever spiritual state you're in when you die, you're locked into it.
So we know who goes there, and we know it's divided, but where is this place? What's it actually like? The Bible gives us some surprisingly specific clues about its location and what you'd find there. The scriptures pretty consistently place Sheol deep inside the earth. Jesus himself talked about being in the heart of the earth for 3 days, just like Jonah was in the fish. This really points to the idea that Sheol isn't just some metaphor, but an actual physical location. Okay, so let's pull all these characteristics together. What do we have? It's a place of waiting. For some people, it's a state of rest and peace. But for everyone, it's a land of deep, deep darkness. It's even described as this vast sea that's holding all the souls. But, and this is the most important part to remember, it's not permanent. Now, you might think a place of darkness and death would be outside of God's control, right? But that's not the case at all. This verse from Psalm 139 makes a really powerful point about God's sovereignty. It says, "If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there." So even in the deepest, darkest part of the underworld, God's presence and authority are still absolute. There's nowhere he isn't.
And that little detail, that it's only temporary, that reveals the ultimate purpose of Sheol. If it's just a holding place, a waiting room, then what are all those souls waiting for? The answer, the Great Judgment. So let's be super clear on this. The key takeaway is that Sheol is a waiting room, not the final destination. Its whole reason for existing is tied to this future event, a day when every single soul will be called out to face a final verdict.
And this day of judgment is described as happening in 3 clear steps. First, there's the call. That's when Jesus calls forth the dead. Second, you have the resurrection, when all those souls in the graves, in Sheol, hear his voice and come out. And third, the judgment, where everyone faces one of 2 outcomes.
And from that judgment, there are 2 totally different and this time permanent destinies. Depending on how they lived, people are separated for either a resurrection of life or a resurrection of condemnation. And right at that moment, Sheol's job is done. Its purpose is fulfilled. So what happens to Sheol itself once the Great Judgment is over?
Well, once every soul has been judged and sent to their eternal destination, that temporary realm, it's just not needed anymore. Its purpose is complete, it's empty, and it just ceases to exist.
And we see this symbolized so powerfully in the book of Revelation. Remember how we said Sheol was described as a vast sea of souls? Well, Revelation declares that in the end, and the sea was no more. That's it. That's the signal that this realm is gone for good. It's empty, obsolete, and has no place in the new creation.
And that leaves us with one last, pretty powerful thought to chew on. If you think about Sheol as just a temporary waiting room, well, that puts an incredible amount of importance on our lives right now. It suggests that everything we do on Earth isn't just for today, it's for eternity. It kind of frames our life not as the main event, but more like the prelude to a final accounting. Thanks for joining us.